Well, everyone, it looks like it has started here in America. Twin Falls, Idaho has chalked up their first sexual assault victim that I know of, which was a 5-year-old girl. The alleged perpetrators, 3 boys, migrant children from Sudan and Iraq, aged 7, 10, and 14. Now, there is an estimated 2 to 3% Muslim migrant population in Twin Falls, Idaho since 2012. Twin Falls is known for their refugee relocation programs. Now, there are rumors out there on this story, and we know rumors can be skewed, and we need to provide evidence to determine if these rumors are either true or false. And we need to address the facts and evidence that we currently have, including eyewitness testimonies, which we will get to in this case here in a second. This is a sad and disgusting story. Be prepared, everyone. I wonder why no major media outlet is covering this story. Calling TYT, Cenk Uygur. Are you there, Cenk Uygur? Will you cover the story? I would love to hear your perspective.
A story that has pushed the emotions of a community to the extreme. An alleged assault on a 5-year-old girl by 3 boys in a Twin Falls apartment complex is causing residents to question city leaders about why it happened. The boys were of Iraqi and Sudanese descent. Now, in an exclusive report, the witness of the alleged attack speaks to 6 on Your Side. Reporter Lacey Darrow spent the day in Twin Falls and joins us live with the very latest.
Don, the woman I spoke with today says she occasionally sees kids out on the lawn wrestling or messing around, doing typical kid things. But the thing that she saw on June 2nd, something she never imagined.
It's enough to make grandmothers want to run and put their kids in a complete new world somewhere that nobody could find us.
89-year-old Grandma Jo says she was at her home in the Fawnbrook Apartments when she noticed a boy from the complex outside of the laundry room with a camera taking photos.
So I walked over and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Oh, nothing, just taking pictures." And I said, "Of what?" Oh, nothing. And the look on his face was like, oh, nothing.
Grandma Jo said she had a hunch that something wasn't right. That's when she went over to the laundry room to investigate.
Then I just opened the door, and there they were, the little girl and with no clothes on and 2 little boys. I told those boys, "Get your clothes on right this minute, and if I was your mama, I would spank your little butt." And the little girl was saying, "Please, Grandma, help me. Please, Grandma, help me." So I'm over there. Meanwhile, when I go over and pick her up, in her hair and all over her body and her clothes, they had yearned all over them. It was terrible.
She said she made the little boys stand near the laundry room until the police came and were able to talk to everyone around to find out what happened.
Pretty soon the policeman said nicely, "You boys and girls can go over to your house now. It's okay." And all I could think was, it isn't okay. I'm sitting there going, it isn't okay.
Grandma Jo says that the little girl was taken to the hospital in an ambulance with her father by her side, where the doctors told him
the little girl had been raped. And the dad just cried.
Since that unforgettable day, Grandma Jo says the little girl has come to her home 2 or 3 times to see her.
And she goes, "Grandma, I'm so glad you helped me."
As for the boys involved, Grandma says it's not where they're from or the color of their skin. What matters is what they did.
They're just little boys, yes, but little boys shouldn't do those things. And if people get mad at me for telling you the story, well, just tell them that if you was an old lady and you found something like that, what would you done?
As for the punishment that the boys should receive, Grandma Jo says everyone makes mistakes, but they need to learn that little boys cannot act that way.
We're all got our bad little things that we shouldn't have done, but we grew up learning the hard way, and the hard way is the only way, so then you never do it anymore.
Now, I asked Grandma Jo about some of the rumors that have been spreading around here in Twin Falls. Specifically, I asked her if she ever saw a knife. She said no, she didn't. When I asked her if she saw the parents high-five the children, she said no, all she saw was a lot of crying. And when I asked her how she felt about the families being evicted, she said that if it were anyone else, they would have done the same thing. Now, this story is still developing, and we will continue to stay on top of it for you. And we'll have all that information on our website, 6onyourside.com. Live in Twin Falls, Lacey Darrow, 6 on your side.
Man, what a sad story, right? I'll tell you one thing, I would not be as forgiven as Grandma Joe was. Just so you know, the families of boys involved in assault of a 5-year-old girl, they were served eviction notices. They are not living in Fallenbrook anymore. But what I want to do here is go over an article that Washington Post posted today about this story. A 5-year-old girl from Twin Falls, Idaho, was allegedly sexually assaulted by boys from Sudan and Iraq on June 2nd. Locals became furious, casting blame on refugees and circulating rumors. The chief of police and area residents stood before city council to speak on the matter. That video is linked down below. It's about 28 minutes long, but it's a video you would want to watch. It continues here. By the time the police chief stepped in front of city council Monday night in Twin Falls, the whispers swirling around the quiet Idaho farming town of 44,000 had turned into an angry roar. One thing seemed clear, and to the people in Twin Falls, a 5-year-old girl has been sexually assaulted. But a judge had sealed details on the alleged incident from public view and half-truths. Wild speculation and rumors now filled the information void. Now, there's some rumors out there, and it states here, before she was sexually assaulted, the child had been dragged into a laundry room and stripped naked and had a knife pressed against her neck. Now, she was stripped naked in a laundry room. Now, when it came to a knife being pressed against her neck, there's no evidence of that. That's the reason why I would like to know what these pictures are on the phone that was recovered by the authorities. Continues here. That was one version of a story being shared around Twin Falls and beyond. Some said that one of the perpetrators was coaching the others during the attack, and that the young victim had been filmed and urinated on before her assailants celebrated the crime with their families. Now, there's no evidence that the assailants celebrated the crime with their families. Now, two facts are that it was filmed and the 5-year-old girl was urinated on. That is disgusting. City officials were accused of manufacturing a cover-up. Well, I can see that. That is plausible. That was designed to downplay a new crime wave that followed an influx of lawless Muslim refugees who have arrived via a federal resettlement program. The terrible incident, critics said, was the latest examples of officials sacrificing public safety for political correctness. The article continues. To begin with, the chief said, the victim had not been raped. Well, guess what there, chief? The parents of the victim stated that the hospital said that she was raped. But he continues here, but was believed to have been sexually assaulted. The two individuals alleged to have been involved with the assault were arrested and taken to juvenile detention center. That's great. Reports that a knife was used in the incident were also false, the chief said. Now, this is where the pictures, the video, and all that shit comes into play here, which we have none of, because these are minors, and the documents on this case are sealed. The chief quotes here, there's some stuff on social media that the suspect and subject's fathers were high-fiving and congratulating the boys on this incident, he said. We have no evidence at all that occurred. It's irrelevant to me if that occurred or not. Continues here. We've been asked if the Twin Falls City Council covered up this incident, and the answer to that, admittedly, is no, unquote. Now, the video is down below, people, of that city council meeting. You determine if the members of that city council knew anything about this incident. It continues here. A Washington Post ABC News poll conducted weeks earlier after the Paris terrorist attacks found that 54% of respondents opposed taking in refugees from conflicts in Syria and other Middle Eastern countries after screening them for security. 40% opposed this strongly. Opposition to accepting refugees was even higher, 68%, among respondents in rural areas. At a city council meeting in Twin Falls earlier this month, again, link down below, same city council meeting, some community members confronted local officials about Muslims and refugees in the area. Quote, I feel like Twin Falls should be, and I'm not racist or a white supremacist, but they should be profiling. It works. I mean, if the last 2 mass shootings have been committed by Muslims, why aren't we profiling Muslims? It makes sense, doesn't it? Said another, quote, if just alerting you to the facts that if you don't get your head wired to your posterior, you folks are going to be with a mic in front of your face trying to answer questions about Islam, the Quran, the Hadith, the Sunnah, and you're going to act like a bunch of morons because you don't have a clue as to what's going on in this community and other communities that are receiving refugees, unquote. Continues here. Quote, I am infuriated by this act of horrific brutality. It is a way of Sharia law. It cannot, will not, nor should ever be tolerated. This girl is only the first victim of this terror. It's not race that bothers me. It is culture and way of life, unquote. Now, some conservative media outlets report that Muslim refugees have been involved in hit-and-run incidents and were witnessed spitting on non-Muslims in the area. Quote, residents in Twin Falls have been worried about the impact of an increasing influx of refugees, many from jihad-coddling countries, over the past several years. The suspects taken into custody were from Sudan and Iraq. Little else is known about their backgrounds. Since 2011, 842 Iraqi refugees have been resettled in Idaho, with 216 of them resettling in Twin Falls, according to figures from the federal government's Refugee Processing Center. Another 213 Sudanese refugees have been resettled in Idaho, including 161 in Twin Falls. Islam is the dominant religion in both countries. So in conclusion here, people, why are not the major media outlets covering this story? Because we know what is going on in countries like Sweden, France, Germany, the UK. And we know what's been going on in these countries when it comes to covering up brutal attacks committed by Muslims. Swedish rape crisis boils over as media stay silent. This is an issue. And when we look at these rape statistics in Sweden, estimated 77% of rapes committed by 2% Muslim male population. And then when we go to Germany, Germany hands out swimming pool etiquette guides after sexual harassment reports against migrants. They have to hand out flyers in pool areas, swimming holes, where, hey, listen, you migrants, you Muslims, you shouldn't be touching women inappropriately. And there's areas in Germany where they have different times for the males and females on when they are allowed to go to swimming pools. Sickening. We need to be vigilant, like Grandma Joe was in this story, and address any issue that seems out of the ordinary. If it wasn't for Grandma Joe, I think this would have never been a story, and it might have been swept under the rug by the authorities. It's a sad story, but we need to promote stories and share stories like this on social media so we can discuss the potential threats here in America when it comes to Middle Eastern and Northern African refugee relocation programs in cities like Twin Falls. That being said, let me know what you think down below. Remember, live life because you only have one.